It's 11:30 p.m. The house is finally quiet. The toys are put away, the dishes are done, and the lunchboxes are packed for tomorrow. You sit down on the edge of your bed, and without warning, the tears come. Nothing terrible happened today. No crisis, no fight, no disaster, and yet your body feels like it's collapsing inward, as if every muscle, every nerve, every hidden place inside you has been holding something too heavy for too long. People call you strong, a super mom, a woman who does it all, and sometimes behind your back, a broken family, the quiet label society still places on single mothers. But what they don't see is the invisible armor you wake up wearing every morning, the constant vigilance of knowing there is no backup system. If you get sick, everything stops. If you fall apart, everything falls apart. So your nervous system never truly powers down. It stays half alert, scanning, bracing, anticipating, living in a quiet, relentless state of survival mode. And when the day finally ends, when the roles drop away, when no one needs anything for 5 minutes, the armor cracks. Those tears aren't weakness. They are the biological release of accumulated strain. What psychology calls allostatic load, the wear and tear of chronic responsibility carried alone. You're not crying because you're fragile. You're crying because you have been strong for too long. As a single mother, holding an entire world together by yourself. People often imagine that a woman becomes a single mother because of one explosive fight, one unforgivable betrayal, one dramatic breaking point. But the psychological reality is almost never that simple. Leaving a marriage, especially as a mother, is rarely an event. It is an erosion. It's the slow accumulation of moments where you felt unseen, unheard, emotionally alone, while standing right beside someone who was supposed to be your partner. It's carrying the invisible labour of the household, the planning, the anticipating, the emotional holding, and realising quietly that you're already parenting alone inside a 2-adult home. For months, sometimes years, many women live inside a painful cognitive dissonance. I believe my child deserves a 2-parent family. But I also know this environment is slowly breaking me. You begin monitoring your child's face during arguments, listening for tension in their voice, wondering in the privacy of your own mind. Is it worse for a child to come from a broken home or to live inside one? And beneath that question sits another truth many single mothers carry, but rarely say out loud. The marriage itself no longer feels safe. Not always physically unsafe, but emotionally unsafe, unpredictable, dismissing, lonely, a place where your needs shrink smaller and smaller just to keep the peace. So when a mother finally leaves, it is not impulsive, it is not selfish, it is not giving up. It is what trauma psychology calls a protective exit, the moment the nervous system concludes that staying costs more than leaving. You don't walk away because you stopped valuing family. You walk away because the family, as it exists, is already fracturing your inner world. And choosing to become a single mother is not the destruction of a family. It is the attempt to salvage a healthier one from the pieces. The day you become a single mother, something shifts that few people around you can see. Your marital status changes in an instant, but your identity does not reorganize that quickly. One day, you are someone's partner, someone's chosen person, a wife held inside the social architecture of a shared life. And then suddenly, you are not. There is no ritual for this transition, no language for the quiet psychological disorientation of losing a role that once structured how you saw yourself in the world. Because being a wife is not just a legal category, it is an identity scaffold. It tells you, I am chosen, I am accompanied, I am building something with someone. When that scaffold disappears, many single mothers experience what psychologists call identity collapse, a period where the self feels reduced to function. You're still mom, but you're no longer partner, no longer we. And in the silence after the children fall asleep, a question can surface that feels almost disloyal to ask, if I am no longer a wife, who am I now? This is not vanity. It is not dependence. It is the human need to exist as more than one role. Many single mothers grieve not only the relationship that ended, but the version of themselves that existed inside it. The woman who was seen romantically, supported structurally, defined relationally. So the transition into single motherhood is not only logistical or emotional, it is existential. It is the slow, often invisible work of reconstructing a self that is no longer organized around us, but must learn, painfully and gradually, how to exist again as I. From the outside, many single mothers look remarkably composed, capable, efficient, unshakable. You manage schedules, meals, school forms, illnesses, finances, emotional meltdowns, bedtime fears, often without visible hesitation. To others, you appear organized under pressure, but what they cannot see is the internal cost of sustaining that level of constant readiness alone. When you are the sole adult responsible for a child's safety and stability, your nervous system reorganizes around vigilance. There is no secondary regulator, no one else scanning the horizon for risk. So your brain learns, I must stay alert. Neuroscience calls this state chronic hypervigilance, the nervous system remaining partially activated even during rest, because the stakes of failure feel too high. If your child gets sick, you respond. If finances strain, you absorb it. If something goes wrong, there is no buffer between threat and consequence. Over time, this creates what psychologists describe as allostatic load, the cumulative wear on biological systems from prolonged stress exposure. Decision fatigue rises, emotional bandwidth shrinks, cognitive load saturates, which is why a single mother can calmly handle real crises, yet find herself unexpectedly breaking down over something small. Spilled milk, a lost shoe, a missed bus. The reaction is not about the event. It is about depleted reserves. On the outside, you're functioning in armor, competence, endurance, problem solving. On the inside, your nervous system has become thin-skinned from carrying sustained responsibility without relief. This is the paradox of single motherhood. Strength becomes the very condition that creates fragility. You are not overreacting. You are responding from a system that has had to stay strong for too long, without ever being allowed to soften. After becoming a single mother, many women discover something unsettling about themselves. They no longer know how to rely on anyone. Offers of help feel uncomfortable, dependence feels risky, and trust, once natural, now carries the echo of danger. On the surface, this often looks like empowerment. You tell yourself, I can do this alone, I don't need anyone. And in practical terms, it's true. You have proven your capability in ways you never imagined. But psychologically, this fierce self-sufficiency is often something else. A trauma adaptation known as hyper-independence. When a relationship that once held emotional or structural safety collapses, through betrayal, abandonment, or chronic neglect, the brain rewrites its survival rules. It learns, depending equals vulnerability, vulnerability equals harm, so control becomes safety, self-reliance becomes protection, and needing someone begins to feel like exposure. This is why some single mothers instinctively scan for flaws in potential partners, withdraw when others get close, or refuse support even when exhausted. It is not because they don't want connection. It is because connection now carries memory. Hyper-independence is not the absence of longing. It is longing under guard. In quiet moments, the desire for partnership remains deeply human. Someone to share decisions, to carry emotional weight, to say, I've got this tonight. But when that possibility appears in real life, alarm systems activate. What if they leave? What if I depend again? What if I lose stability I rebuilt? So many single mothers choose certainty over hope, predictable strain over unpredictable hurt. And while the world often praises this independence as strength, its psychological cost is isolation. You are not pushing people away because you don't need love. You are protecting yourself because at some point, trust stopped feeling safe. When you become a single mother, the loneliness you encounter is not the kind people easily recognize. You are rarely physically alone. There is always a child beside you, needing, speaking, touching, depending. But there is a form of absence that remains quietly unfilled. Adult intimacy. No one sees that what disappears after separation is not only partnership, but everyday closeness. The small regulating exchanges that steady a nervous system. An arm around your shoulder in the kitchen, a shared glance across a room. The quiet reassurance of being emotionally held by another adult who knows you as more than mom. Children offer love that is deep and real, but it is not reciprocal in the same way. They cannot co-regulate you. They cannot witness your adult self. They cannot hold your fears, your doubts, your fatigue. So many single mothers adapt by numbing this layer of longing. You tell yourself you don't need it. You focus on tasks, routines, survival. You redefine closeness as responsibility rather than mutual presence. But late at night, after stories, after lights out, after the house finally stills, the body remembers what the mind has set aside. The absence of touch, the absence of being chosen, the absence of adult companionship that does not depend on you. This is not weakness, it is attachment biology. Humans are wired for paired regulation, for the calming effect of safe closeness with another adult nervous system. And the loneliness many single mothers carry is not the absence of people, it is the absence of being held emotionally and physically as a woman, not only as a mother. Among single mothers, guilt is almost expected. It settles in quietly and stays, a background feeling that rarely fully lifts. You feel guilty when you're working, believing you're missing your child's moments. You feel guilty when you're with your child, knowing bills and responsibilities wait. You feel guilty for the home you could not preserve, the stability you wish you had provided, the version of childhood you imagined for them. This is maternal guilt amplified by circumstance, the sense that you alone must compensate for an absence you did not create. But beneath that guilt, there is often another emotion, far less permitted: anger. Anger at the partner who did not stay. Anger at the imbalance you carried for years. Anger at being left with disproportionate responsibility. Anger at a reality you did not choose but must now sustain. Yet culturally, mothers, especially single mothers, are rarely allowed this feeling. Anger in a mother is quickly recast as bitterness, instability, or failure to move on. So the anger does not disappear, it turns inward. And inward anger often becomes shame. You question your reactions. You minimize your hurt. You reinterpret injustice as personal inadequacy. I should have chosen better. I should have tried harder. Psychologically, this is a painful fusion of guilt and resentment, responsibility assumed beyond control. Healthy anger identifies violation, but unexpressed anger becomes self-blame. Many single mothers carry both simultaneously, grief for what ended and fury for how it ended. To acknowledge this anger is not to remain trapped in the past. It is to validate that something meaningful was lost and that the burden left behind was uneven. You are not wrong for feeling it. You are human for carrying it. After becoming a single mother, many women confront a question that feels quietly taboo to admit. Am I still desirable? Divorce or separation does not only end a relationship, it can fracture the mirror through which you once saw yourself as a woman. Inside marriage, desirability often feels assumed. You are chosen, partnered, seen. Outside it, that certainty can vanish overnight. Now your body carries history, pregnancy, birth, exhaustion, survival. Your time is structured around children. Your identity is socially marked, single mother. And in a culture that often equates femininity with youth, freedom, and availability, many single mothers begin to fear they no longer fit the template of romantic desirability. Who would choose someone with this much responsibility? Who would accept my life as it is? Am I still seen as a woman or only as a mother? These fears are not vanity. They arise from attachment rupture and social messaging converging at once. When a long-term partner leaves, the brain often encodes it as evidence. I was not enough to be kept. So self-worth and attractiveness become intertwined with loss. Dating then carries two layers of risk: rejection of the self and rejection of the life you carry with you. Many single mothers withdraw before testing that risk. They pre-reject themselves, assuming others will do the same. But desirability was never erased by motherhood or separation. What changed was the lens, the story you now tell about your worth. And that story, though shaped by loss, is not the final truth of who you are as a woman. For a single mother, dating is no longer a private emotional experiment. It becomes a systemic risk assessment. Before, entering a relationship meant opening your own heart. Now it also means potentially opening your child's world, their routines, attachments, and sense of safety to someone new. This is why love can begin to feel dangerous. You have spent months, sometimes years, stabilizing life after rupture, rebuilding predictability, restoring calm, creating a small, hard-won sanctuary where your child knows what to expect each day. A new partner does not enter only your life, they enter that ecosystem. And the fears arrive quickly. What if my child bonds and then loses them? What if this changes our stability? What if I misjudge again? Psychologists call this blended family anxiety, the heightened caution single parents feel when potential relationships could alter family equilibrium. So many mothers hesitate, delay, or avoid dating not because they don't want love, but because love now carries collateral risk. You are not guarding only your heart anymore. You are guarding a child's emotional terrain you fought hard to heal. And that makes the threshold for trust far higher than it once was. Survival mode was never meant to be a permanent identity. It was the state that carried you through rupture, through fear, exhaustion, and rebuilding. But you are allowed to become more than the version of yourself that endured. Healing after single motherhood is not about abandoning strength. It is about expanding beyond it, letting the nervous system learn that not everything rests on your shoulders alone. Letting help feel safe in small doses. Letting your identity include not only mother, but woman again, desiring, resting, choosing, becoming. You're not only someone who held everything together, you are someone still allowed to receive, to grow, to love. If this video made you feel seen, share one thing you're proud of surviving or becoming in the comments. And subscribe if you want more psychology that honors the quiet strength behind everyday lives. You are not alone here.